guys, and welcome to today's Los Blancos podcast, and the first one of 2025, and we're back with a bang. We have a Barcelona preview and El Clasico preview for you guys today. A preview of the Supercopa final, and this is one of the biggest games of the year. One of the most entertaining games of the year, often as well. Is the game against Barcelona in the final that we usually play, and it's a huge opportunity, to get our hands on some silverware at the start of 2025. Also to deny Barcelona some silverware at the start of 2025. You always want to be kicking your year off pretty well. And so far it's been good. We obviously beat Valencia last week in dramatic fashion. And we beat Mallorca midweek as well. In less dramatic fashion, but we still beat them in pretty well. And so, we're now here in the final against Barcelona, a team who obviously earlier this season beat us 4-0. But, it was just 2 months ago and things have changed so dramatically since then. And so, going into this game, I am a bit nervous. But this is not clearly as good a Barcelona team as it was a couple months ago. And this is a Barcelona team that have constantly been losing, drawing, dropping points here and there, and just hasn't been on that same level. So it's definitely one in which I'm very nervous for, but I'm confident that Real Madrid can win this game, and I'm confident that Real Madrid have improved their fortunes, improved their results since that last game. So what are your thoughts on this game, and how do you think Real Madrid can fare against this Barcelona team, which are much different from the ones we played a couple months ago?
Yeah, of course, we are going to go into the game a bit more confident because we didn't have a bad game in the 4-0 loss, but the Clásicos are just always predictable. They can swing anyway, and once one team get the advantage, it's kind of difficult for their team to climb back, and but I think we are, of course, the better team and the better players, and Barcelona, of course, chopped off, but it's really difficult to tell, and you can't really underestimate a team who saved their best performances against the bigger teams so far this season. So of course, yes, they have struggled a lot, but it's a big game, and of course, they're going to be up for this big game. Of course, the year has started well for us with 2 wins on the season, despite the difficulties. We have 2 trophies. But we have been a bit inconsistent sometimes, but some of our better players are finally getting into form, and hopefully that can play a part in our initial success on today. Of course, there's a lot of talking points for this game, but in terms of Barcelona, Real Madrid, I think it's always the biggest game of the season. I think we have done well enough, to be in a good position to be considered the better team. But of course, football is played on the day, and we have to make sure we implement not just our attacking transitions, but also our defensive transitions as well, to ensure that there are numbers to help out in the back.
Yeah, I mean, as we always do with these previews, let's talk about Barcelona first. And since we played Barcelona, here's been their record. They've lost to Real Sociedad, they've lost to Las Palmas, they've lost to Leganes, and they've lost to Atleti. They drew to Celta Vigo and they drew to Betis, and they've only won in 2 La Liga games. I'm excluding Champions League wins against Brest and Dortmund, I believe, off the top of my head. And they beat Barbastro in the Copa del Rey as well as the win they had earlier against Athletic Club earlier this week. So it's not been great for Barcelona. I think in amongst those losses, there's been a clear pattern of the fact that they're losing against smaller teams, and they struggle against those smaller teams, because I see, whenever I tune into a Barcelona game against, Leganes or whatever, it does look like they struggle from a complacency issue. They do look like they're struggling to get up for the games that are smaller, and that require a little bit less, effort, which obviously Real Madrid have struggled in the past with. So it's definitely something that we know perfectly well. But it's clear that Barcelona do tend to get up for the bigger games. They do tend to play well for the bigger games, even against the loss against Atleti. Barcelona really did deserve to win that game, if it wasn't for Atleti just stealing the points at the end. So, at the end of the day, I think Barcelona are not going to be bad in this game. I don't think Barcelona are going to be. This isn't like we shouldn't be going into this game expecting Barcelona to fold like they did last year, in the 4-1 game. I don't think that's what's going to happen. Is instead, I think, like you said, it is very much decided by who scores the first goal. Because if Real Madrid had scored the first goal in that 4-0 loss, and we had taken one of those opportunities, or Mbappe might not have been offside one of the 100 times he was offside in that game. If that happened just once, I feel like we could have had a different game there. But the moment that Lewandowski scored from that defensive mistake that we played, that from the line, as soon as that went in, you could just tell the defense just collapsed at that point, and the attack really continued to be poor throughout that game. So it is very much a game of moments against Barcelona. Often, how many times over the last few years have you really seen a team come from behind to win in one of these classical games? You haven't really seen that at all. So it's very much who scores first and when do you score. Because as soon as Real Madrid score, I know what they're going to do. They're going to sit back and invite a little bit of pressure. So we're going to have to make sure that we score as soon as possible. Make sure that we don't invite that pressure from Barcelona, and make sure that we don't give them an opportunity to rile themselves up, and make sure that a lot of these times these are the games that Barcelona fans live for. El Clasico is their Champions League final, and so whereas our players see it as another game, Barcelona players see it as the game, right? And so that's something we have to be careful about. So as much as Barcelona have been in bad form, they were 7 points ahead of us, and now they're 5 points behind us. I don't think that's going to be a huge factor in how they play in this game. I think how they're going to play in this game is how they're going to play regardless of how they've played before. So I think it's going to be a difficult game, no matter what. However Barcelona play. Whoever Barcelona play, I know that their players are going to be up for it. So it's just whether our players are going to be up for it. And against a couple months ago they were not up for it. Hopefully they are this time. So yeah, what are your thoughts on Barcelona's form as of late?
Yeah, like you said, they seem to be up for the games against Madrid specifically, and of course against the bigger teams. Maybe because that's how they style with high intensity, with suits against a team that's maybe going to have the ball, etc. Because, for example, it's difficult to pressure, let's say, Las Palmas team that's not going to be building the ball from the back. Most likely they're going to be sending the ball long, or maybe being a bit aggressive. I think so. Sometimes, we just have to allow them to let's just say sink themselves, use a lot of intensity, and of course with no benefit. And I think that's what happened to us in the first game this season. We had so much intensity that we of course destroyed ourselves when we didn't take any chances and we didn't end the half leading the game. So I think that of course affected us a bit. And of course normally Madrid, in the second half of the second half of a game, that's where we stand up. But I think last game we didn't do that. Last game, as soon as we conceded, I think we just caved in. I think this time it's unlikely to happen. The team has gotten a bit better. The team seems to be a bit more fitter, but of course it's difficult to stay at when two of our best midfielders who put in a lot of work, Bellingham and Valverde, came off with slight injuries, or it has slight injuries to end the game. So I'm not too sure where our physical level is at, but I'm aware that in January it's normally a lot better compared to October, November, September, etc. But with Barcelona, they're going to give it their all against Madrid, and I just think we have to be prepared for it. I think we just have to adapt to the game state, and once we adapt to the game state and navigate through the match, like we normally do so well sometimes in these big games, and I believe that we can be successful. Yes, last year we won 4, and it was a bit easier because we had our best midfielder over the past decade. Well, one of our best midfielders. I'm not too sure if he was better at Magic over the past decade, but of course he was there in those difficult times to navigate the game state. I think now it's time when Camavinga and Bellingham when they can do that, and I have confidence that they can be successful.
Yeah, and it's going to be a huge battle in this midfield. So let me give you Barcelona's predicted lineup for this game. Goalkeeper Wojciech Szczesny. Iñaki Peña has been dropped since the New Year, so these last two games have been Szczesny's, and I assume it's going to continue here. Right back, Jules Koundé. Centre backs, Pau Cubarsí and Inigo Martinez. Left back, Alejandro Valde. Midfield of Casado, Pedri and Gavi. Gavi slightly further forward. And then the front three of Lamine Yamal, Rafinha and Lewandowski. Let's talk about that midfield because I think that's often where we start with El Clasico. I think Gavi's come back into the squad now. He's back from his injury fully. I think he's very much getting the minutes. He scored the goal that put them ahead against Athletic Club in the midfield in the midweek. Obviously, he gives them this level of intensity that I think they struggle without. So I think that's something we're gonna have to be careful about with Gavi running in all over the pitch. Instead of having Fermin Lopez, let's just say, Gavi gives them that level of intensity which I don't think Fermin Lopez can give. So that's gonna be something we have to be careful about. I'm confident that our midfielders are better. I continue to say this, but you cannot let guys like Casado and Pedri just knock the ball around, do whatever they want. You've got to get onto them. You've got to make sure that there's ultimately a man marking them at all points. You've got to make sure that when they make those passes, they don't have ultimately just a quick outlet ball on the opposite side, because that's just such an easy pass for guys like these to make. A lot of the time you saw opportunities for them to make easy passes. That our press struggles so much. You just got to make sure that either you fully commit with your press, and make sure that there's no easy passes to make, easy ways out, or you lay off and allow them to do what they want. You lay off so that at the end of the day Pedri can't switch the ball and suddenly it's Lamine Yamal against Ferland Mendy 1v1 and or it's Rafinha versus Lucas Vazquez 1v1. You got to make sure that you either fully commit or you back off, because otherwise they will take advantage of you. I do want to talk about how the defense as well, because they have gotten worse a lot, and obviously the main talking point going into last game, the El Clasico before, was the fact that they had the high line. Since then, a lot of teams have been using the blueprint that we set, and we failed to hit with the offside trap. They've been hitting a lot of long balls, and guys like Martinez and Koundé haven't reached the same levels that they have before the first El Clasico. So I think that's something that we have to be careful about. And Mbappe, please, man, this has to be the game, because Mbappe can't mess up again. Like, surely you can realize that if you keep 2 yards off of Inigo Martinez, you can beat him still. I have no doubt that even if Inigo Martinez had a 10-meter head start in a 100-meter race over Mbappe will still win. Mbappe has to realize that no matter how much of a head start Inigo Martinez has, Mbappe is still winning that race. So he has to just give that extra a bit of assuredness. I know what Mbappe likes to do. You want to play right on the tip of the defense, so that you can do that 1v1, so that you can play to that offside trap. But just be a little bit more careful. Just take a couple steps behind Inigo Martinez, because I'm still confident that he can win that race. It's where we lost the last game, with the fact that we got offside too many times, and obviously this goes to Vinny as well. Vinny needs to make sure that he plays the game, because these last two games I think he's been caught up with everything else a bit too much. He needs to be smarter than just fouling Pablo Maffeo, because as much as I don't like Pablo Maffeo, he played the game perfectly. He played it very, very smartly against Vinny, because he got Vinny caught up in stuff that isn't football. And that's just, you want Vinny to be a bit smarter with how he goes about it. Instead of just going and going to kick Maffeo, you have to be a bit smarter with how you attack him. You have to be a bit smarter with how you kick him. You have to be a bit more like, you can't be so obvious with it. And so In this game, I want to see Vinny just play the game. I want to see Vinny just isolate himself with Jules Koundé down that right hand side. And if Marc Casador comes over to help, I don't really care. Vinny can still beat the both of them. Mbappe has to make sure that isolation is constantly being given, and he has to make sure that that's always there. And so a player that we didn't have last time, Rodrigo, I think is going to be a huge addition in this game. You know, we needed that stretch play. We needed someone there to stretch the play for us, so that Vinny could have a bit more isolation play. I think that's going to be really important in this game to have a Rodrigo there to help us with that support. So I think that's the overall points I have to make about the attack and the midfield. What are your thoughts on those?
Yeah, like you said earlier, when you started the Barcelona analysis, you mentioned, of course, not just the players in the midfield like Pedri, etc., but also the danger of their wide players. So I think that's what made them a really good team in terms of their intensity, but they could also play out wide, but have the facilitators to play in the middle as well. So I believe, if I'm being honest, that's of course our biggest test. We don't normally play teams that are a bit more complete. Of course, Barcelona, they're not as complete. They have dropped off a bit since 25 to end 2024. My apologies. But I think we can definitely have the upper hand because we also have these players who can be dangerous out wide, but also have the players who can be good in the middle. I think once we win our individual battles, and of course once we just play, I don't say we don't always win with intensity, Richard, but once we do the hard work on occasions to get behind the ball, maybe to get numbers forward, I think that we can win this game. I think this is a perfect opportunity for us to set up the second part of the season. And I think we can definitely do so. It's of course difficult now. In Saudi, the conditions is a bit difficult. I'm sure you can film, but I'm confident that we have just for another game. We have numbers to do so. I think in the next game against Celta, we can afford to give other players the opportunity. But in this game, they should definitely put in a top performance and have that intensity that they need.
Yeah, and let's get into our Real Madrid lineups. So in goal, a huge boost is having Courtois in net instead of Lunin. I know maybe Courtois doesn't make much of a difference last time out, but still it's good to have him back instead of Lunin in these games because you do feel the difference. So yeah, I assume you've gone for Courtois in goal.
Yeah, definitely. I think Courtois, he deserves to start. He had a bit of a stutter, not a bad stutter, but he wasn't at his immediate best. Still 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10, but maybe he wasn't at 9 out of 10 performances in the last couple of months. But regardless, he's still amazing and still going to start, in my opinion.
Yeah, let's move on to this right back position because obviously they're gonna have to be playing against Rafinha, whose form has slowed down, but he's still very dangerous. Like you can still see the danger that Rafinha poses. So personally, I've gone for Asensio at right back. Now we saw what the Lucas Vazquez experiment was last time around. First half was actually alright. I thought he did a pretty good job. Then suddenly, second half breakdown in one goal, and then suddenly it all falls apart. I think Asensio at right back would ultimately form a back three, basically give us a little bit more cover in those positions, and the fact that he is a little bit more aggressive, he's quicker, he's just a bit more he's got a bit more of everything about him than Lucas Vazquez. I think that's going to be useful in playing Rafinha. Just having that little bit more cover in the midfield, in the middle of the defense, is really helpful, and I think it would really help us. You can see every time Asensio plays, our defense looks a lot more solid. I feel a lot more safe at the back. To be honest, you just feel his presence a lot more, which is I think something that he has. I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like Asensio has a certain presence about him in the defense, where I don't feel as nervous having him in the back line as other players. So I would go for Asensio. I know Carlos still going to go for Lucas Vazquez at right back because he's the right back, but I would have gone for Raul Asensio at right back, and then obviously with the back two of Tchouaméni, who got a knock last time out. A little bit of a scare, but I don't think there's anything wrong with him. And obviously Rudiger as well. So yeah, what are your thoughts on those three?
I think to see Asensio at right back, we have to wait until the next Champions League game and Lucas is suspended. Like you said, he might be the better option. He gives us more stability. But I think with Mendy in the team at left back, I think we can just use it that way. Of course, I'm not the biggest fan of Mendy starting games, but up against Yamal, I think before I know you asked me about the right back position, and I'm just touching on left back. For you to understand why I'm keeping Lucas at full back. Firstly, it's difficult to just choose Asensio as the full back in this game, and his first game starting as a right back. I think it's difficult to show him as a starter in this game. As much as I'm all for it, I don't think now is the time to implement it. The back three, of course, makes sense, but because maybe Mendy is most likely to start, I think that's the way we can have the back three. Yes, Kamavinga is maybe better in position at left back, and he's having in the game Kamavinga had a left back this season is better than all of Mendy's game at left back, if I'm being honest. And of course, Garcia has looked better than Mendy this season, but of course, the big concern is I don't think that he can handle Yamal. Kamavinga, I didn't think he did well against Yamal in the Bernabeu last game last season when we won in the late, I think 3-2. I don't think Kamavinga handled Yamal well. Garcia, I think Garcia sometimes struggle against these type of players. So you don't have any other option but to place Mendy there, in my opinion. Because of that, Mendy be more defensive. We have to have someone going up the pitch, something like Lucas Vasquez. Lucas Vasquez, he has strong games with the ball in possession. I think he's a top player on the ball because, of course, he was a winger. He can send good crosses into the box. He is always energetic. He knows when to get out the pitch and to exploit those spaces. And he's also good. And he wins penalties. He's good in the attack and an excellent player. So I think because of Mendy at left back, we need Lucas. I think with Asensio and Mendy as full back, it's going to be difficult. I would have loved to see Kamavinga and Garcia get that, but because I'm concerned about Yamal, I think Mendy has to start, and I think they just need to have a better performance than they did at the Bernabeu, both Lucas and Mendy. Yes, they made mistakes, but at least for this game, this is a chance for redemption, to be honest. And if it doesn't work out again, then of course you got bitten twice and you have to implement the change. But because yes, we struggle against Milan, but I think we have to give I saw a report showing that Lucas is working on the mistakes made against both Milan and Barcelona. So we have to at least give him the chances to play this game because Asensio will not get to start there. He didn't get to play there at least for like 5 seconds for Chuka, I believe. But let's be honest, in the game, we just need to have them be more focused and better, and then we can do better. Like I said, we have to wait until the Champions League game against Best, I believe, when Lucas is suspended to see if Asensio gets an opportunity there. Maybe he might start Aguado and have Asensio centre back, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I want to quickly touch on Lewandowski as well because I saw a stat. I can't tell you the stat because it's long gone now on Twitter. But it was something about his chance creation and the fact that he, despite scoring a lot of goals, Lewandowski, he still wastes a lot of chances. So, this is a huge difference that we have from now and that we didn't have last time. Is Militao's not in the lineup anymore, obviously, which obviously means that you prevent ultimately what was the first goal in the last game, which was where they both came out. They both tried to do the same job, and ultimately they just exploited the line, and Lewandowski had an easy 1v1. So ultimately, I think Rudiger, the job is there. You just got to be at your best. Make sure that Lewandowski doesn't really get a sniff, and obviously whenever Tchouaméni has to deal with him, but. I'm worried about the defence because we've continually shipped chances against Mallorca, against Valencia. They've all had chances to score. And Barcelona's not going to be any different. They're going to have chances in this game. It's just whether they score them. Lamine Yamal's obviously going to have a lot of opportunities against Mendy. Like you said, I don't trust him at this point. I don't trust him. He had a good game against Mallorca. I'll give him that. He was actually pretty good against Mallorca. But I don't trust him as much, and we can't play Camavinga there because we need Camavinga in the midfield. So for me, there's no option other than to put Mendy there, unfortunately. But hopefully this is his chance. This is his chance. It's now or never for Ferland Mendy. He can't do it again. Surely not. He can't do it again. As well as that, I think he's gonna play Lucas Vasquez. I don't. My point being, he should probably play Asensio. Asensio should be given minutes in this game no matter what. I think it would be good to have Asensio playing this game, whether we're losing or winning. I think Asensio brings a lot both ways. So I think Asensio should be coming on no matter what. Let's talk about the midfield now, because obviously Jude and Fede both went down last game. It looks like they should be okay for this game. We don't know what the physical status is, but Ancelotti, I think, said they'll be both okay, which is obviously a huge boost to have them both there. But I'm gonna go for a midfielder, Camavinga, Jude and Fede. Obviously, not having them would be a huge miss. And Camavinga was the only good performer last time out against Barca. I think Camavinga is going to be a huge addition in the team to have him there. So what are your thoughts on the midfield? Who do you think should play?
Camavinga and Valverde, I think they make a good pair ever since the first season. Let's be honest, when we started those comebacks, they were the midfield pair that were on the pitch against Chelsea, City, PSG in 2022. So I think by now you would have expected them to be getting more games together in the midfield, but of course we all know that Toni Kroos was doing so well. We signed Tchouaméni, so it wasn't simple or easy fix to start them in a double pivot. But now I think whether by force or choice, we have an opportunity for them to get continuity. Yeah, I think that's what we need. I think sometimes with Ceballos is a good option, but I think when it comes to who our long-term starters is, I think it's Camavinga and Valverde in there is the best option in my opinion. Ceballos is a player who deserves to start after his performances. But I think Camavinga and Valverde they cover so much ground. They off the ball, on the ball. I think they're good in transition in both stages of the game, so that's why they should start. Ceballos, I think he's a stronger starter in my opinion. When he starts the game, I think he does better compared to when he comes on. I think when he comes on, he gives away the ball sometimes. It takes him some time to get up to the speed of the game until he eventually does. But I think he does eventually get into the game, but I think it takes him a bit longer compared to when Camavinga comes off the bench, when he can just settle in any game state compared to Ceballos in my opinion. That's maybe the only way I'm seeing Ceballos starting, because how good Camavinga is off the bench, but I think now we have to pick our best team to start the game out, because we don't want the game to be finished, by the time we have to utilize the bench later on.
Yeah, I mean, we want to talk about Ceballos. I think if we need a little bit of bite in this game, come on, snap it to some tackles, kick Pedri and Gavi, then Ceballos is the guy to come in and give us a little bit more in that midfield. I think that'll be good to have. I understand what you're saying about him, taking a little bit of time to come into the game, but also I've seen games where he comes in and he immediately makes his impact known. Whether it's good or bad, actually, to be fair, but he does make his impact known when he comes into the game. So I think Ceballos is completely fine to come into the game, and then obviously we've got plenty of players to come off the bench, right? We've got a very good bench unit right now, coming off now at this point. We've got Brahim, who in this game especially, I think it should be as soon as possible. 60th minute, he should be coming off the bench. There's no doubt in my mind. But I think Diaz should be coming off the bench straight away, and Modric should be coming off the bench straight away, and Ceballos should be coming off the bench straight away. All of these guys, easy enough coming off the bench. There's no doubt about that in my mind. And then the front three. Let's talk about the front three, because obviously we've discussed already, but Rodrigo coming in, we need something more. We need more from him. You know, we need him to give us that stability, because we struggled with that. You know, with them overloading on Vinny and Mbappe. We need Rodrigo to have that impact on the right hand side, to have that, you know, danger on the right hand side, that threat, you know, just to balance out the attack. He's so important, but also he needs to work in this game. I'm sorry, but he does need to work, because we know Vinny and Mbappe aren't going to do it. We need him to do it, so that he needs to be running and trying to catch up to it. He needs to do what, you know, Di Maria used to do. I think that's a really good example. You know, I think Di Maria always used to work so hard for the benefit of the team. Something similar should be asked from Rodrigo. When he's asked, when we're off the ball most of the time, Rodrigo needs to run. But when it's time, he needs to make that impact on the opposite side, and he needs to make that impact for the benefit of the team. So I think that would be really important from Rodrigo. And then Mr. Kylian Mbappe. Here we are again, coming up to a big game, and we're talking about Kylian Mbappe. We need him to step up, because, you know, if he steps up for this game, all is forgiven for his shit performances against Barca previously and against Liverpool. All is forgiven if he delivers us a trophy here. But, you know, it all comes down to that offside trap once again. And, you know, I don't want to, you know, if you want me to make the same points again, just go ahead and watch the video a couple months ago, where we previewed the El Clasico a couple months ago. But it's the same points, you know. You gotta beat the offside trap. It's as simple as that. You beat the offside trap. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. And I don't think we need to expand anything upon what Kylian has to do. Say with Vinny, make sure you get that isolation against Koundé, and try and beat him every single time. Just continuously beat him. And make sure you don't play into the. I think he actually did pretty well with the refs against Mallorca. He stayed off the refs for quite a bit of the game, just, you know, focused all his attention on Maffeo. But yeah, once again, just stay off the refs and just constantly just beat your man. Just keep doing that, and hopefully it can lead us to something, because we had way too many chances in the first game. To not have scored one in that first half, that was a really pathetic conversion rate in that first game. So, in my opinion, that's what it comes down with the attack. What are your thoughts on this attack going into this game?
Yeah, you mentioned Rodrigo. I think he has no choice but to work hard, in my opinion, because if he doesn't, then he'll be the first player coming off, whether to shove the midfield or to give us maybe a harder working attacker who gives us balance, maybe more like Diaz, who always comes on, like, puts in a shift in the attack. So I think it's more like, yeah, he has to work, but I think if he doesn't, he'll be the first player coming off. Maybe at half time, maybe minute 60. So I think, yeah, he knows that he is the most easily dispensable attacker. In my opinion, like, I'm sure he knows it as well. So I think he knows he has to give 100% in this game, off the ball, on the ball. You know, he is a good player, helps us in terms of balance and everything, but we all know that he sometimes can be a bit inconsistent, especially in front of goal. But when he's on the streak, he's amazing. I think we just maybe need more of that throughout the entire season. Yes, he's at a disadvantage because of all the attackers. He's the one who's sometimes playing on the left and on the center, then on the other side, or maybe in midfield sometimes. But, you know, that's how it is in these big clubs. And if you want to stay here and be at your best there, I think you have to maybe put in these kinds of shifts. So it's unfortunate for him that he's not on the same level as Vinicius, Bellingham, and Mbappe in terms of talent, quality, and output and danger. But he's still dangerous, and he will start and be like maybe the central figure for almost any other team in the world. He still will start for any other team in the world, including Liverpool, who is considered the best team over Manchester City. He will start for Manchester City or all these players over in Barcelona as well. Any team he will start. I think because at Madrid his number isn't that high, and because he's always considered maybe second to Vini, he doesn't get the recognition he deserves. I think all those left wingers in the world that we mentioned, Liao, Kvaratskhelia, I think he's better than all of them. I think if he goes to another club, he'll show that. But of course, he can show it at Madrid as well. But he's just most easily dispensable. And if things isn't going how we want it to be, he's of course the first player, because we have to try something new, but keep our three best players on the pitch, our three best attacking players on the pitch, Vinicius, Mbappe, and Bellingham. And of course, you're not going to take out Valverde and Camavinga to lose the balance, of course. That's the only way I'm seeing that's difficult for him. And that's maybe why Ancelotti leaves so late for substitutions, because it's difficult to take out certain players. And if you take out a midfielder, you're going to replace them with a midfielder, and then of course, I know it's a small subject, but the substitution windows as well. You have 3 windows to make 5 subs, so you don't want to make 1-1-1. Sometimes Ancelotti, you make 2, then if you have to make another one, then another one after. Sometimes the first substitution is normally just 2 players coming on immediately. It's in modern football, it's really like 2 out of 5 circumstances where one player comes on first to change a game. That's just how football has been now due to the substitution windows, because to save time wasting, etc. But in terms of the attack, Vinicius and Mbappe, they have to do a lot of interchanging. In a 4-3-1 position, whoever is on that left wing position has to get back and help out, has to get back to take the ball forward and supply the striker, supply Bellingham. Of course, like you said, if Mbappe can have a big performance, everything is always forgiven. Similar to Fernando Torres at Chelsea, he was a flop, of course. But he's no longer considered as big of a flop as he was. Yes, we know he chopped off, but he scored a big goal against Barcelona, and I think a lot of fans will remember that.
It's not a good omen that we're comparing Kylian Mbappe to Fernando Torres at this point.
What was that?
It's not a good omen that we're comparing Mbappe to Fernando Torres at this point.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you look at it, they both had big transfers, and they struggled at the start, but hopefully he's not struggling as bad as many would think. I'm kind of calm with the Mbappe situation and where he is at this point, but at the same time, I know that he needs to be better.
He's definitely improving.
What's that?
He's definitely improving right now, and
Yeah, he is. It's just that we need to on a more consistent basis. The missed penalties, of course, hurt us a lot because it was big performances in a big game against Liverpool. But regardless, I think he's gonna step up, and I also think he's gonna step up in the Champions League nights as well. I think this can definitely be the kickstart of the season. We have said that so many times, but because he's getting better, but he needs that defining moment. The goals from outside the box, that's good, but it's against, let's say, smaller teams on a Getafe on a smaller scale. So because of that, I think we have to wait a bit. We have to wait a bit to see how he does. His season hasn't kickstarted yet. It's getting better, but it hasn't kickstarted, and we need that moment to kickstart the season. Like last year, the hat-trick against Barcelona really kickstarted Vinicius this season. So we still need that moment for Mbappe. And Bellingham, we all know, on the ball, off the ball. Hopefully, he's at 100%. And because everything we do, that's good, comes through Bellingham. I think if we build a team around him, if we center this game around him, with him being a key piece, then I think we are going to do well. So I'm looking forward to that, in my opinion. And I think that he's going to just help us out and give us a good game.
Yeah, we need a huge game from Bellingham. We need a huge game from Vinny. We need a huge game from Mbappe. Everyone has to improve after that last game. And that's one step closer to winning against Barcelona, winning the first trophy of 2025, and hopefully we do it. Saudi Arabia, we've won the most since it's moved, I believe. I think we've won the most anyway. And so yeah, it's a huge opportunity right now to get our own back on Barca after the poor performance that we had a couple months ago. So if you want to hear more from us, you can go back and watch the preview that we had a couple months ago, or even the review of the El Clasico a couple months ago. We discussed a lot more tactical stuff after that game, and a lot more emotional stuff after the game, especially. So that is it for today. First 2025 podcast of the year, and that is it. Hopefully we win in Saudi Arabia, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.